So,
like really, it's in his mouth.
No,
It's inside his mouth.
I'm trying to impress you.
Okay, we're going to start because we're at Comic-Con and it's a madhouse and we're drinking beers. And cheers. Look
Thank
at
you
that.
for
I feel like we're
having me.
actually
Yeah.
like in a beer commercial because they give us Steins.
Another frosty.
Right?
It's nice.
You ran in here from your panel across the street.
I did. Well, I had panel, then we had some
you
more
signed?
press. No, we signed first. They did it weird this year. They did our panel later, so we signed, then panel, and then all of the press.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah.
Usually panel's kind of like the last thing
Yeah,
you do.
and then you can head out,
Right.
but I couldn't get out of it.
And you flew in today?
No, I flew in last night to L.A. My buddy Brian Buckley has a band, and he did a music song.
A music song.
Yeah,
I know what
believe it
those
or
are.
not. Yeah,
I've heard
it's a
of
new
those
one.
on the internet.
But he wanted to do, he was doing a music video, and so Genevieve and I did it yesterday in
how
Los
nice.
Angeles. Very cool. So I went to L.A., saw the wife, the kid, and then drove here last night, and I was supposed to be staying north of town in La Jolla, and I took a nap in the car, and I woke up, and my driver was like, I'm only 5 minutes from downtown.
Oh, no.
And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, we're going downtown. And I was like, oh, man. By that point in time, it was midnight, and I had some texts from Rob Benedict and Richard Spate and Misha. And so I just said, might as well just stay here. And I crashed on Richard Spate's pull-out bed. And his
okay.
room,
I was going to say, did you like on somebody's floor?
And yeah, I was. I mean, he called for a cot, and I had a cot, so it was all right. But I didn't want to go all the way back out of town.
Because you live the life of a superstar.
Yeah, right now.
Right
Now it's totally life of a superstar. Woke up in some strange dude's room. Like,
exactly.
He's walking by in a towel, waving to me.
Like, what? How? I don't even know this guy.
Yeah.
Why?
I kind of blink a little. I hear the shower running. I'm like, that's not my wife.
Does Genevieve live in L.A.?
We're all over the place. We're in Austin, L.A., and Vancouver. So we have homes in Austin and L.A., but we call Austin home.
Yeah.
So
you're adorable. You're so tired. You're like, we call house.
Yeah, we call
Austin.
house music song. Yeah, so we call Austin home, but Austin's very far from Vancouver. So and there's no direct flight. So it takes a while to get to Austin.
Does it even have a major airport?
It has like a Burbank airport kind of thing. So it's enough. I think there are some international flights to Mexico, but they will fly you essentially from Austin to Houston or to Dallas to get anywhere interesting. Yeah. This probably isn't that interesting, but
I find it fascinating.
I do too, because I love the way it's.
I find it interesting. My listeners will find it interesting.
All right, perfect.
I just co-signed that story.
All right, perfect.
So is she with you in Vancouver when you're there? It's so hard, though.
It's really difficult, yeah. And she's an actress. That's how we met. But she took it on herself to kind of put our family in front of her career. And so she took some time off to be a wife, and then we got pregnant, so she took time off to be a pregnant wife,
lady.
and then now a mom.
Yeah.
So I went from Austin to Vancouver last Sunday to start shooting. And then so she didn't do that leg with me. She went straight to LA.
Okay.
Because then I met her yesterday. She's coming up tomorrow to Vancouver.
So you guys spend your time off in Austin, like your summers, your hiatus in Austin.
And like we're going to Austin this weekend as well because I have a 3-day weekend. So
nice.
Yeah. Go get on the boat.
Austin is the best.
Austin's amazing.
It's best.
Amazing. I love it.
One of the first early comic tours I did, we did like a driving tour in 40 cities, and I was miserable because it was like me and two dudes in a van, so smell of socks. It's like it was like in me. Like
you don't
in my
like
skin.
the smell of socks?
Well, after a while you don't feel it anymore. You just die inside. You smell nothing.
Yeah.
And also a lot of like begging me to be a wingman. I'm like, I wouldn't. You use your sex as punishment for somebody else. I will never get you laid. I will actively work against getting you laid.
That's nice of you.
Yeah,
I'll be the warn. I'll warn people.
Exactly.
No.
Run!
Yeah, run, flee!
But we pull into Austin and that huge Stevie Ray Vaughan statue. We just this is like a place for me. This is a place for me.
It's amazing.
It's so great.
I love being there. It's hot as sin, and I'm sweating right now, and I shouldn't be. But it's hot.
Carried it with you.
Very hot. I just carried it with me. And that sucks. And you don't think about it as a kid. I grew up in San Antonio.
Yeah.
So I'm there, but if you're in a pool, or if you're in the lake, or if you're inside in air conditioning, it's fine. I certainly wouldn't want to work outside in the summer.
Right.
But meanwhile, it's wonderful in October because it's cool. You can get in the pool still
Beautiful
because
days,
it's like 80 degrees.
I do love the warm nights in Texas. I feel like walking outside in shorts and flip-flops at 10 o'clock at night is so great.
I do too. You know what? My wife loves that too. She loves going outside at night in shorts and flip-flops and leaving the window open to sleep.
That's so nice. Where's she from?
She's from Sun Valley, Idaho, and San Francisco.
Oh, I'm from San Francisco.
Well, Danville.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not San Francisco.
That's east.
That's adorable. Well, she's from New York.
Okay. Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I don't think everybody knows. I didn't know where Danville was, so I didn't realize That's where you're from?
I'm from California, and I don't know where Danville is. No, it's like
it's
out,
East Bay.
It's but it's like over the first set of hills, desert, kind of
like
farmy.
Walnut Creek, Lafayette.
Yeah.
Lafayette.
It's
music
good.
song. I'll get here in a second.
You are on fire today.
I know.
You have a new little baby.
I do.
You can blame everything on your
little
baby.
Thomas Colton.
I just saw a picture of him, and you should just hire security because he's like a stealable baby. Like he's like super like on the side of like a baby food container.
Thank you. Yeah,
like,
Gerber.
Plump and juicy baby.
Thank you.
How old is he?
He is. He's going to be 4 months on Thursday.
He's so gorgeous.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Do you love being a dad, or you're exhausted? Probably.
I do. You know, I felt I'm a pretty emotional, sentimental guy, and I felt badly for a while because I was like, well. When he was first born, you love him. I mean, it's
how can you not? It's like instantaneous.
It's instant, and it's this protection, but you don't. Or I, as a father, I was like, obviously, I love my kid. I'll die for him in a second. That's not a question. It's not to sound cool, but it took me it took him responding to me. I heard somebody say, a woman becomes a mother when she gets pregnant. A man becomes a father when he meets his child.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it does.
And I did, and I'm a very I like big dogs to wrestle, and I like being active. And I think the older he gets and the more stuff he does, the more I love him.
I also think it's fair, and I think it's human, and I don't think it's anything to be embarrassed about to say that the first, and I'm not a parent, but I have a lot of friends that are parents, that those first moments of parenthood are totally bewildering.
Terrifying.
You don't know what to expect.
Oh, my God.
How you're going to feel.
Mm-hmm. We had a long, my wife was in labor for 52 hours.
Dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, 1 hour of it would have been.
Yeah. I won't sit on the toilet for longer than 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to come out. I'm good.
You invest in a good book. You got a good coffee table.
I know. I need to read something new.
You know?
I put down Twilight. But 52 hours is a long
52
time.
hours. Oh, so when the baby was born, our first 2 days were kind of spent being terrified that something
something
every
bad's
time
gonna happen.
and they're breathing oxygen for the first time instead of water, and so they're kind of gurgly, and every time they gurgle you shoot up and you're like he's dying, somebody call a nurse, do something. And so that was terrifying. And
you're like, you want to hold a little mirror up to his little face all night long.
Breathing. Yeah. And you don't want to swaddle him too much. You're like, I'm going to crush him.
And they're kind of mushy when they come out. They're these little lumps.
Absolutely. They have no control. And actually, when I first held him after he was born, his neck got in a way where he cut off his own windpipe because his head was just kind of and so the doctors had to go like, we need to make sure he's okay to make sure his windpipe.
Little babies, little smooshy babies. But you're dead, and it's the greatest.
Yeah, it's the
greatest.
I'm very excited.
And you just started back at the show.
Just started back, yeah.
We normally the show goes on and on and on. It's interminable. People love it, but you have a very limited amount of time.
I'm so very
here
sorry.
for like a minute. No, it's great. It's perfect. It's going to work out great.
I feel more important if I overpack everything and then
I understand.
feel like I have to rush.
So everywhere you see people,
I'm so busy.
Oh God, I would love to stay and sign the 90 photos you printed on your home printer of me, but I gotta run away.
But all crumpled. And
let's talk about the con first, and then we'll talk about the show. I launched my podcast. I saw you last year here, and I was launching my podcast. So it's so great that you're like around my 1 year anniversary.
Very cool.
How do you feel now coming to Comic-Con? Because this is my third time. This is the first time I felt like I had it, like I had my hands around it.
Yeah.
Is it exciting anymore? Is it just a drag?
It is very exciting. It's not a drag. You know what a drag is? Is that we film in Vancouver, and so literally I'm going from you to Zach to the flight. So Vancouver to shoot tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. That sucks.
That does suck.
If I could be down here for a week and go to San Diego at night, then fine. I love it. It's very cool. And it's flattering to see all these people who know so much about you and your work, and
way more about you than you know yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it can be very creepy. It depends on how you behave as to how much you let them in, and how much if you're Kim Kardashianing out, then people feel entitled to know everything about you. But if you're respectful, you're like, hey, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm an actor.
But I have a job, and then I have a life, and they're separate things.
Yeah. And so people are very respectful to me, to Jensen, and to other people on the show, even though it's a very kind of culty show.
Yeah.
But I do like Comic-Con a lot. I like meeting new people. I like the fans. I mean, they're who keeps us employed, and I try not to be so.
No, I'm gonna totally endorse this. I think people lose sight of the concept that we couldn't do what we do if these people weren't watching. You know what I mean? And there's an sense of entitlement. Like, I don't owe you anything. Well, I mean, maybe not in a literal sense, but I owe you my paycheck, because if you didn't watch, I wouldn't work.
Yeah, and it's easy to bitch about what you've got. Yeah. And then when no one watching is, and you're like, whoa, why aren't people watching? What do they know? What they like that show, not mine? And then they watch the show, you're like, oh, well, now people are paying attention to me and I can't. It's a great problem to have. I mean, I'm not going to bitch about it.
It's a bummer though. All of my friends that are on 1 hour shows, it's so hard to get here. It's so hard to do this. I mean, like, you guys started last week. Maybe if you were starting in a couple of weeks, you could have come in. You could have had a little bit more of a leisurely time.
Yeah.
And you guys just started a week ago.
Yeah.
And there's only two of you. This is something super inside baseball, but let's teach some people something.
Let's do it.
Someone told me, I don't know if it was you, if it was Misha, or if it was Voices in My Head.
Yep.
Someone said that you're the only show on television where there's just two cast regulars, just one. You guys are 1 and 2. Yeah. That's unheard of on any show and any drama specifically.
It is. And I came from Gilmoregirls where there were like 12 series regulars,
right?
And then like 5 guest cast
floaters that just swing in. Yeah. So what that means for people who don't know is that like you almost never get a day off. You almost never have like, I don't have to go to work. It's just like a constant, nonstop.
Yeah. I mean, even tonight so much. I couldn't. The first flight out of LA or San Diego gets to Vancouver at like 9 a.m. tomorrow, and I was like, guys, can I at least come in at 9 a.m. on Monday? You can't push the schedule that much, or give me 2 hours off so I can fly on Monday, not going from Comic-Con to the airport.
Right, like I could have a proper night's sleep and not be a wreck on Monday morning.
Yeah, or like Jen and Thomas didn't come down with me because I was working all day today, but if I could have gotten out tomorrow, they would have come down last night.
Right.
And like had a night in San Diego and then
meet people, had a meal.
Meet people as opposed to seeing me last night to get out. So it's just frustrating, scheduling wise.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you? Okay, that's not the question I wanted to ask you because I was like,
sorry, no,
it's okay. I'm music song. Let's just talk about the show because I kind of became a fan very late. Well, like season 5e, I think is when I got into it. And
season 5e was good.
Season 5e was all right. It wasn't as good as 5, but 5e was also good.
40 was all right too.
And I met you last year. I said I was a fan of the show, and I'm going to tease you now. I was like, I really love a show, and you said, why?
I remember that.
And I feel like when I first started watching it, it was like I had a couple of CW shows that were like my guilty gym. Like I have a TV in my gym, so I go into the gym. I have an hour to myself.
Oh, rad.
I DVR all my shows. I watch them on the treadmill, and this show is kind of focused on stuff that guys love. And Supernatural is like such a masculine like show.
I appreciate that.
It really is. It's a dude's show. I'm sure a lot of girls watch it, but it's really a guy's show. It's a show where you guys drive like muscle cars and you're constantly drinking at like 10 a.m. in the morning, cracking a beer for breakfast.
Right. Yeah.
And just
shooting stuff and beating
blades
stuff up.
falling out of your pockets. Like you go to pee and then like a machete falls on the floor. Was it always like that? Did the show start that way?
God. It feels like the show didn't. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to reset that. It did start that way. It started out as 2 guys in a car, brothers, out to like hunt evil shit.
Yeah, it's almost like a television version of the Defiant Ones. You guys are like it was like a road movie,
and it was about like classical music, classic rock, classic cars, like tough guys. So they fight trained us. They sent us to like boxing and kickboxing to make sure we weren't like pretty boys who couldn't look like they could do something. Put us on like weight training regiments, and they wanted us to be kind of manly guys, and I appreciate that because there's nothing I hate more than watching some like 5'4", 100-pound dude beating up some 6-foot person in a TV show because they're the lead.
It happens all the time.
And as I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
You don't think Angelina Jolie could beat up like 5 CIA guys?
Unless it's Bruce Lee or something like that, he could take a lot of people. But it set out to be kind of a cool masculine show, not sexist by any means, obviously, but it set out to be like.
There's nothing wrong with that, though. There's nothing wrong with a show that is about like the interior life of men, because all that stuff is on the surface, but it's also a show about a relationship between 2 brothers. Sure,
yes, and I think that's why also they really focused on the masculine part, is because I mean, present company excluded. I think the network was saying, "Oh, you have 2 good-looking guys. The girls will show up.
Chicks are gonna love it.
Yeah, so let's get a lot of stuff for guys because girls are gonna show up.
There's no matter what." Girls are going to show up no matter what.
Yeah, it's kind of there are a lot of, thank God, there are a lot of women that watch the CW, and a lot of girls, and they figured, Jensen had just come from Smallville, and I was coming from Gilmoregirls, so there's a follow-over audience.
Right.
And so they figured, let's have something appeal to the guys as well.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what got our attention.
When, because I have so little time, like usually I'm leaving meandering. I'm then where'd you grow up? No, it's cool, but I want to make sure I get all my questions. I think that the show has evolved quite a bit, though. I mean, early on, I think it was really kind of like about the myths and about the monsters.
Sure,
but
absolutely.
the show has become just about character. And I guess I wonder how you guys see the show now. What's the right question here? A beer on an empty stomach. Thanks, Jared.
Hair of the dog.
You make me stupid.
Hair of the dog. How do you guys feel about the show now in terms of like as actors? Because I mean, I think the show has really become much more about the interior. Like, sure.
It's a much more interior show than it used to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, very, very, very much. And I guess that's kind of a necessary evil. It had to go there. It couldn't just stay couldn't
just stay about monsters.
It couldn't be Twilight Zone.
You also ran out of urban legends like in season 3.
Yeah, like halfway through season 1, we're like, oh, now we're just making stuff up.
Like Candyman, what?
Yeah, exactly. I think Jensen and I'll speak for him too. He'd love to be here, by the way. He's on a flight. He went straight to the airport. I think we kind of had to develop into a character-driven show because, like you said, we ran into urban legends, and we became a show that has gone so long now. I mean, we have 100. We're doing episode 150 right now, so that's like 75 2-hour movies. You know? That's somebody doing 75 films, and it's been a lot of Sam and a lot of Dean, and so the characters have gone all over the place. All over. It's been a life. I mean, I've spent so many hours with Jensen and in Vancouver and on the show. I'll be 30 on Thursday, and I've spent now almost 8 years of my life on this show. It's a quarter of my life, and it's great. I'm very happy, but it had to develop into that, and you get to do so much. And Supernatural is also one of those. We don't take ourselves too seriously, which is to say we'll do funny episodes about like doing a Japanese game show.
You do a lot of big meta stuff where you just kind of step way back outside of the show.
We did a convention show. We did a show where I was married to my wife, who was actually my wife. Who played, so we've had a chance to laugh at ourselves and a chance to go all over the map. And so now we get to, almost like a life, you try this, you try that, and you figure out what works for you and what you like and what you want to focus on and what you want to nourish and support. And now we're kind of doing that. We figured out what's kind of worked, what hasn't worked, what maybe has potential, and now we're trying to focus on that with just the base of, these two brothers that care about each other.
This show has been on the bubble pretty much from the beginning. And people don't know what that means. It means that every single season they didn't know if they were going to come back. And I think it's probably the only show on television that spent probably like the first 5 years of its life on the bubble and then essentially went back in the other direction.
It exactly did.
Right? Like went from being a show where it got moved around and what's going to happen.
And we changed networks. We're the last remaining show on the WB. On the CW that was from the WB.
Right.
So we started on the WB and then they merged with UPN.
I remember that. And then you guys moved to the new network, and you're the only show that moved to the new network.
Smallville moved, but Smallville's done. I think I don't remember what other shows.
It's okay because it's not a test.
Right, yeah. I know Smallville was WB also, but they're no longer around. So we're the last vestige of the WB on the CW.
And you're a show that went from like being we don't know what's going to happen to essentially now they're moving you back to midweek.
Now they're moving us back to Wednesday nights, which is awesome. Yeah, usually Friday night is like the elephant graveyard of TV shows. Shows go there to die. You have some followers, but you're losing some. Go to Friday, kind of ride it out and get a few more episodes. But we've done so well, and Mark Pedowitz at the CW is such a huge fan and supporter of the show that he wants it back midweek. He's like, this show isn't losing steam; it's getting better. Like, let's have more people tune in and watch, which is really, really awesome.
Is there when I watch the show, I feel like this is a pretty unapologetically violent, unapologetically booze fueled. Show, and I find that delightful. But on my show, we talk about blowjobs all day long. So, Archer is like the dirtiest. Our panel was so filthy this year, like that we were embarrassed for ourselves. We're like, wow, no I can't believe that I just said that. Awesome. It was, it was awesome. Like, and we had to apologize if there were any kids in the audience. It was Did you see the little thing on the back? It's like, there might be people under 18 years. John Benjamin made the filthiest joke, and I was like, look at this. Children under 18. He's like, and he goes, Aisha shows about blowjobs. I was like, I guess you're right. How does that play for you guys as actors? Do you ever think like we should be toning it down, or has the network ever told you guys to tone it down?
Not us directly. I think if the network does say something, they'll say to the writers as opposed to the actors. It never kind of trickles down to you guys. If it does, I think it's through the director or through a change in the writing, and then the director kind of making sure we keep the tones down. Yeah,
the show's super edgy. I think you guys make. Well, this is the internet. I'm just gonna curse.
Yeah.
You guys make dick jokes constantly. I mean, it's a really edgy show. It's about as edgy as it could be without actually being on cable.
And that's also why Jensen and I both were attracted to it because I mean, Gilmore Girls was a great show. I'm very proud of it, but it was very clean and wholesome and sweet, and something you'll let your daughter and son watch when they're young. And Charmed was great, and Buffy was great. And Reaper was great, but we weren't interested in doing like a campy sci-fi show.
No.
We wanted to do a serious, gritty, and we've since been able to laugh at ourselves. Like, after this huge following, we've been able to say, like, hey, we're going to do a campy episode to back away from...
because you have the strength of a base. Yeah. People know the show, they know the characters.
But we were both... I kind of said to my manager at the time, I was like, listen, Charmed is great, Buffy's great, Angel's great, but I don't want to make a campy sci-fi show.
Right.
They're like, well, this isn't it. Listen, Meet with Kripke, it's like an X-Files, but with two brothers as opposed to two FBI agents. So that's why I was really interested.
You grew up in Texas?
San Antonio, yeah.
Did you always want to be an actor?
Yeah.
Really? From the time you were little?
Yeah, from the get. I hate saying it because it sounds...
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with knowing who you are, though.
I know, yeah. But I think, I had a feeling. You know what I watched? There was a great interview with Piers Morgan and Robert Blake the other day. And Robert Blake went nuts. But in one part...
he started nuts and he stayed nuts, yeah. Does he go bananas? I haven't watched it yet.
He goes apeshit. He goes crazy. It's awesome. It's great to watch. But at one point in time, he says he remembers being 5 years old, looking at Spencer Tracy and saying, I can do that. And I was like... some of the inane things that came out of his mouth I didn't necessarily agree with, but I heard that and I was like, I agree. Like, I kind of felt as a kid, I'd watch like Home Improvement. And at first I think it started because all the girls wanted to date JTT and it's like Jonathan Taylor Thomas. And so I was like, I want the girls to look at me. And then I just loved acting. I loved storytelling. And
what was your first acting experience?
God. Real acting, I think I did like Les Miserables in 6th grade. I think I played like 5 different characters.
Way to aim low, Jared.
No, but it was in school.
I know he's like, oh, we did like a little one-act play. It was Pippin. Les Miserables. You know how we get down.
No, but it was not. I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't pay to see it. It was just a little middle school production of it. And I think I played like 6 characters. I wasn't one of the leads by any means, but I fell in love.
And you were in love right then?
Yeah.
And growing up in San Antonio, was there like a really, did you see a clear path to what you wanted to do from there?
God, no. Not in any way, shape, or form. It was, my clear path was, I was enrolled at UT to be an engineer. Yeah.
Okay.
I had taken my SATs, my PSATs, and
I totally wanted to be an engineer when I was in college, freshman year, and then I saw how many classes you had to take.
I know. Well,
like 1,000.
I was a mathlete in high school.
Okay.
So
rock and roll. Yeah, you won some kind of award.
Yeah,
in forensics, some kind of national forensics thing.
That was acting though, but I did like mathlete competitions.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
National Merit Scholar.
I'm like, I don't know how forensics relates to acting.
Yeah, I know. It sounds weird, right?
It sounds like I assumed you were dissecting bodies.
But I guess it's not forensic pathology. It's just they call it National Forensics.
And then I thought it maybe was like debate.
It is. It was speech and debate and dramatic interpretation and duet and stuff like that. And I did that in high school, but you're not going to, a lot of people act in high school.
Yeah, no, everybody
I was going to be an engineer, and then I won a competition to be on the Teen Choice Awards, and I met Dan, who you were talking with earlier.
Yeah, you met your manager at the Teen Choice Awards?
When I was about to go back to senior in high school.
That's adorbs.
Yeah.
So you were about to enroll in UT. You knew you were going to go.
I met my manager before my senior year, and then I went back to school, and I just kind of started talking, auditioning over tapes. He's like, I want to sign you, I want you to come out. But my mom's a teacher, my dad's an accountant. They're retired now.
So they were super excited about you leaving Texas to go to California.
Yeah, they were stoked. They were so happy. Put them in the car.
Psyched.
Yeah, they were obviously very hesitant.
Here's some money, go nuts.
Exactly. And like, come from a good, strong family background.
Yeah, stable.
My parents are still married and very much enjoying
awesome.
it. Yeah, and so they didn't want me to just go and send off to some crazy place where they hear terrible stories. Meanwhile, they're ultimately supportive, like fantastically supportive.
Well, that's the dilemma of parenthood.
Yeah, because you don't want to go like, go off and be an actor, because you don't want to send your
works out
kids
great
that are doing.
For everybody.
I know. Well, Jen and I talk about Thomas, and we're like, God, we better get out of LA before so he doesn't become an actor.
Run.
I know. I don't know. I kind of segue tangent.
It's okay. I'm here for you. You were talking about you decided to be an actor, and Dan wanted you to move to LA.
Yes, but I had to finish school.
Yeah.
So I flew out during pilot season, got a pilot, and used that money that I made in the pilot to, after I graduated high school, go drive to Los Angeles with my grandfather and audition for some stuff. And I got Gilmore Girls then.
Did you?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
And I just never...
I love you. I drove out, I just for stuff, and then I got a huge series.
Well, you know what? It was a 4-episode guest star stint.
Yeah.
As I signed on, it was for 4 episodes. And they liked me and asked me for like 3 more and asked me for another. And then finally they signed me for the rest of the season and then did 5 years.
So were you flipping out? Because you're young and you're relatively new. So did you have a sense at the time when it was a big deal? Because
no, it was
when
a
actors
pilot.
work for a long time and they get something, they know. But if you're a baby and you get something,
I had no idea. And it was a pilot also. So I booked a job and I filmed 4 episodes of the show before it ever aired.
Right.
So it wasn't like, hey, you're going to be on CSI, where it's like, oh my God, it's an enormous show.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, there's a show no one's ever seen. It might air one and flop. It might, I don't know. I didn't even get to see the pilot. I was like a little 17-year-old kid and like, oh, here are my sides.
Yeah.
And I met Amy Sherman Palladino, who we took a liking to each other, and she luckily brought me on the show and kept coming back.
And that was a massive show. I mean,
it was. It did really, really well.
For a long
and I still made a lot of fans from it, which is really cool. But I had no idea it was going to be big. I had no idea it was going to kind of catapult me. But then again, God, I hate to say it because it sounds really douchey.
Honestly,
but I kind of felt like in the back of my head, like I knew, I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I knew where I was going to be.
Yes, because I feel like there's a difference between being kind of like delusions of grandeur or grandiosity.
Right.
And the idea that like I know who I am.
Sure.
And I know what I want.
Right, and I know what I'm capable of.
Yes, and I'm going to work hard to get it. I mean, that's a different kind of clarity than like, I'm going to be a huge star. Yeah.
Money.
Look at this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that was essentially where I stood.
How long between Gilmoregirls and Supernatural?
Immediate. I went from, season 5 of Gilmoregirls, I did the pilot of Supernatural while filming Gilmoregirls.
Because you were just like a recurrent, were you recurring or were you a series regular on Gilmoregirls?
It was really funny because I was like a regular for season 2, a regular for season 3. I think I signed a 1-year deal for season 2, then a 2-year deal for 3 and 4, and then 5 I was a guest star. I was like a 10-episode guest star, and then I got a few movies. I did I did Flight of the Phoenix and Cry Wolf and New York Minute.
New York Minute, baby.
Yeah,
Bam.
girl. Yeah.
When you're 90, people are going to be talking about that movie. Just know that that's the movie that will live. That is the movie that will live.
That'll be on my tombstone. And then I did the pilot, and then season 6 of Gilmoregirls was season 1 of Supernatural.
Right. And they write you out, or did you go back and forth for a little bit?
They wrote me out. Kind of. I think it was less than ideal for them because it kind of happened.
Well, same network though.
Same network. So the network was fine. The network made it happen, but I think it was difficult for the shows to go like, well, what do you mean now we don't have him because you want him on another show? Like it's great for. It was
not
great
only
for,
that, but did you go to Vancouver immediately? I mean,
no, we shot in. Oh, that's another thing. We shot in Satakoy Studios in Sherman Oaks, which is right near my home. I mean, within 10 miles of my home, and it was amazing. And then I remember we at the end of the shooting, we would joke about Satakoy Studios. We'd be like, hey, here's to hopefully 6 years at Satakoy Studios. We're all toasting.
Yeah, right.
And then
5 minutes from my house. Yeah,
yes,
right down the road.
Amazing.
Little fat burger for lunch every day.
I could bike there. And then we go to New York.
For
upfronts.
Yeah.
We go to one of the sushi restaurants. I think it was really expensive. It was like Warner Brothers paid for it and stuff like that. And everybody's like, all right, well, I hope you kick ass in Vancouver. And we were like, oh, what are we doing in Vancouver? Like, is that another upfront?
Press appearance?
I literally, this is kind of embarrassing because I consider myself an academic guy, but I had to look up Vancouver on a map to see where in Canada it was. I thought it was kind of like in the Alberta part.
Like what? North, far,
I know. I mean, I was like, wait, is that like on the East Coast, the West Coast? It was a total out of the blue, like seeing Vancouver. Yeah. And Jensen and I looked at each other like, what does that mean? Does that mean like we found out at dinner
right.
at the upfronts
after
getting
we'll
picked
see you
up
in 3 days.
Yeah, we
Canada.
were ecstatic. We were like, oh my God, we got a TV show. It's right near our homes. He had a home there also.
Yeah.
And then it was like, all right, guys, have fun in Vancouver. Like what's going on in Vancouver? And Vancouver's a stunning town. It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful place. And actually, I did a series in Toronto a couple years ago, and I actually loved it. I mean, it's how is it? You're essentially an expat in some ways. You live in Canada for a big part of the year.
It's amazing. I mean, listen, it's first world problems, I realize.
Yeah, but, seriously.
I try to catch
3
myself.
Homes.
Yeah. Well, I try to not go like, oh my God, and then my cell phone bill is more expensive when I'm roaming. Like that sounds, D-bag.
Again, there's no judgment here.
Got it.
No,
So,
no judgment.
If beggars could be choosers, and if I could have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah, you'd live in LA.
Yeah, the weird difficulties pop up. There's nothing. Vancouver's stunning. It's an amazing city. Whistler's
beautiful.
Right there. Seattle's a short drive.
It's very much like Seattle, like super green.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
you can bike everywhere and
great food. biking, running. The stupid things that annoy me are like, every now and again you have a friend that wants to come out that doesn't have a passport. It's like, well, apply for your passport.
Also, Canada doesn't like Americans.
Yeah.
You're going to bring all your drugs and your shooting over the bar. Yeah.
And you can only bring, I'm a big wine fan.
Oh, God. You can't, the government owns all the booze.
Yes. Yeah. It's twice as expensive. And you can only take 2 bottles of wine into Canada.
I didn't even know you could take any in. I would have done that.
2. I think, you know what? You have to be gone for more than 10 days or something. There's some weird, anyways. First world problems.
It's okay.
I don't want to. My life is so tough. I can't take wine into Canada. But there are little things like the phone bill is more expensive, and there is no Hulu, and there's.
You can't get any American internet.
I know.
Like my fans are always like, we can't watch any of your stuff because we're in Canada. I'm like, well, maybe you need to rethink your national priorities. Move down here.
That's true. Well, I also have just something about Jared. I have a very, very strong sense of home. I don't know if it's because I'm a Cancer or something, but it's as beautiful as a place is. If it's not home, I just don't recharge.
And it's odd to spend 9 years of your life living in what feels like temporary housing.
Yes, it is temporary. It doesn't feel like it. It is.
Yeah.
By virtue of I'm not going to, whether the show is, if it goes 40 years, it's still temporary housing.
This is not my home.
I am not going to live here.
Yeah, and I'm not going to I'm going to try to make myself comfortable, but I'm never going to make myself comfortable enough because this is not where I live.
Sure, and I'm not I'm not a person who has like afraid to get into relationships and stuff, but you are afraid to get into relationships because you're like, I'm going to make these great friends, I'm going to have these great connections and great times, and I'm going to leave, whether it's this year or next year.
And it'll be permanent. when it finally does happen, it'll be...
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it doesn't take long to feel that way. I mean, I was only in Toronto for like a year, and I had a whole life there, and it's over. I mean, and there's an assumption, I guess, that it's going to be over at some point. Like, yes, this is going to end.
It has to. I mean, listen, if it goes 80 years...
Yeah. If it goes 80 years, you're going to have to ride your hovercraft.
I'm doing something wrong. A wheel in.
And you're with your titanium...
Salt gun!
Hip.
Yeah. or 2. So that is difficult to me. I'm a big homebody.
Yeah.
Like a Friday night, I would love to have a glass of wine at home with my wife.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Watch our kid, watch a movie, watch Duck Dynasty or something.
Yeah.
I'm not really a go out and party guy.
Well, also, I don't even... something people probably or maybe don't know about the drama shooting schedule is you don't really have a weekend.
Right.
I mean, if you're on... And I imagine for you guys... So for most people who don't know, like on a Friday, you're usually shooting until like 3 or 4 in the morning sometimes.
Right. Jensen shot till 4:30. Well, he's directing this episode, so he directed till 4:30, got on an 8 o'clock flight to San Diego. And now he's on a flight right
back
now.
Because he was like, I'm on my deathbed.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's directing also, so he wanted to get back early because he gets in, I think, I don't know. He gets in the early evening. I get in at midnight.
Right.
But I stuck around. But I flew...
But you can just go to sleep and get up and go to work. He's got to prep.
Yeah, he's got to do some homework. I memorized my lines already. He's got to make sure that everything's set for the day. I flew to LA yesterday morning at 6:30, so I got picked up, I think, at like 4:45. Filmed my buddy Brian's music video, I'm Human, and then drove down here to wake up in Richard Spate's hotel room.
On that cot, on that dirty cot.
On that cot, yeah.
So how... Knowing that you have so little time to yourself when you're doing a show like this, and you guys are doing 22 episodes, and so you're working 9 months. You wrap like maybe April. You go back in July.
Yeah.
And obviously you have and have had a lot of interest outside of the show, but these shows tend to kind of eat all of your free time.
Sure.
What do you do? Like, what do you do with your time off? I mean,
aggressively fight to be with my family.
Yeah.
Like I really, really like this year. We went to our home in Austin and sat in the pool and had friends come out and visit and just hung out.
Just relaxed.
Took a stroller walk. Got on a kayak for July 4th and looked at fireworks and just really, you really have to. You can't assume it's gonna be fine and your family life's going to... My family life's great. I'm not trying to vent or anything. I have an amazing life with my wife and I very much enjoy it, but you really have to be conscious of the fact it sounds very fun to go travel. Hey, let's go to Hawaii. Let's go to like New York. Why don't we drive here? But then your summer's gone and you're like, I didn't ever just sit down and tell you I love you.
And let's have pancakes.
Read a book.
Let's watch
I didn't waste a day. And I don't want to waste a day, but I never had pancakes and watched a movie and took a nap at midday. So you really have to... You get invitations from friends to come visit here or go along there, and we've done a lot of conventions internationally, kind of Comic-Con-esque. But this year we didn't agree to a lot of them because I was like, I love travel. I love meeting our foreign fans, but I want to meet my son.
Yeah.
You know, and his first month of life was I was shooting. So
brutal.
Yeah. I mean, it's all right. It's a first world problem.
It all is.
It all is. So I just want to quantify it, but you have to be really, really conscious of the fact that when your free time comes, you have to. That's why I flew to LA yesterday. Also, instead of flying to San Diego, was to film the music video. But also, I didn't leave right after that. I stayed with my wife and son for 5 hours and got in a car at the last second to come down here and go to sleep.
You've done it, and you have taken a couple of hiatuses to do movies.
Yeah, the first, not since Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
not since, which was season 3. So
really, God, I thought it was like around 5. Okay.
No, that was right. I did that before I met Jen, and Jen was in season 4.
Yeah.
And since then, we've kind of just taken our summers. And there have been options.
Yeah.
And some of them are good. Some of them are not so good. Some of them are nice. But I really want it to be the right thing. And there's also I don't know how to, maybe it's a terrible career analysis, but I would hate to do a movie and it do really well and then not be available to do another movie on the back of that movie because I'm shooting.
Right.
So I'd rather just be really, you know what I mean? Because if I do a movie in the summer,
you couldn't leverage the success of a film because you're not available.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You like that?
I
didn't mean to do that. I thought I had like some sweat.
But you punctuate her like I really mean it.
Just did
period.
I do that whenever I like something. No, but so in my opinion, and I'm only 13 years in the industry, but I wouldn't want to do a movie. I wouldn't want to spend all my summer to do a movie, to have that movie come out and do really well and have people calling me to ask. I find that if I do too many things, too many auditions, read too many new scripts, have too much of an idea that's going on, I start to not resent the situation I'm in, but I start to get sad and go like, oh, well, I should be auditioning for movies. I should be in Avatar, whatever it is. But it's like, you wouldn't get the audition for Avatar if it weren't for Supernatural. So why don't you just...
Not only that, but first of all, you put that perfectly. The flip side of that is that you end up envying people, or like my actor friends who aren't working. I'm like, God, if I wasn't working, I could audition more. But if you could audition more because you're not working. Exactly. Like, you can't,
Right. And so, and I've tried to not be so short-sighted as to believe that all this interest I'm getting is purely because of me outside of Supernatural. So I'm grateful to Supernatural, and I'm also pretty fiercely loyal. Mm-hmm. So it's done so much for me, and the fans have been so loyal and supportive that it sounds like a company line or something, but I don't want to shoot Supernatural in the back to go...
Look, gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah. Exactly. Especially right now when, I know a lot more people who are more talented, better looking, harder working that aren't working.
You're humiliated. I was like, humiliation. That's not what I was saying. Humility. You, whatever was happening to you was rubbing off on me completely.
Music song?
Okay. What? Oh God. So, I'm sorry. This is so hacky, a reportery question, but like, what do you want to do when Supernatural is over?
What do I currently think I want to do?
Yeah. Besides spend time with your family, which is
I would love to never do a 2-person TV show again. I mean it. Like it's amazing, and to totally go against what I was just earlier talking about, how grateful I am, which I really am. It's such an intense. I mean, basically, before every season, I used to in June call my friends, take them out to a steakhouse, and go, "Hey guys, all right, I'll call you in April."
Yeah,
like literally,
I'll see you in a year.
Yeah, don't take offense. I love you. You're my dear friend. But I can't call you because if I'm on the phone, I should be reading my script. I should be working out, or sleeping,
or working out,
or doing something, spending time with my son. I didn't have a son then, but I probably should be working. And there are a lot of people whose jobs depend on it. A lot of people are spending a lot of money to pay for it, and to buy cable to watch it. Anyways, so I would like to never do that again. I would love to do movies. I'd maybe love to do like a movie a year. I also don't want to sacrifice too much of my anonymity.
Yes, like to have your work take over your life.
Yeah. We went to Brazil this past summer, a couple months ago, and I guess Supernatural is hot stuff in Brazil.
Wow.
Like, insane. Like I went to the beach and there was paparazzi and stuff. I never had that. I've had people take pictures. And
you guys also, both of you, you and Jetson both live pretty private lives, and I think paparazzi feed on energy. If you throw them bones, if you ignore them, they leave you alone.
Right, but I guess in Brazil they didn't care. I mean, if I was just sitting there doing nothing, they would have stood there. And I looked at my buddy Cliff, who's my bodyguard, and he works with us up in Vancouver and all over the place. And I was like, I don't know why somebody would seek this out. Like, I don't know why somebody would.
Punishing.
Yeah, I don't. It's not my idea of a good time.
Yeah, or being human. I mean, I think there's a part of being an actor, which is like, I'm going to live a human life. I'm going to get up in the morning and do my own laundry, make my own breakfast, take care of my children, drive my own car.
Right.
How can I pretend to be a person who does those things if I don't do them myself? If somebody comes and wipes my ass every day,
right?
You know,
precisely.
Yeah.
So
I answered your question for you. Sorry.
So no, you're absolutely right. I think it's pretty universal, but I don't want to. And once again, it's time will tell, but I'm not just saying it. A lot of people go like, oh my God, I hate fame. Like, I just don't want to be famous. And then they're like, hey, at the Roxy and whatever else, partying. It's like, listen, be honest. Like, it's not a bad thing to like fame. It's kind of cool. It's neat. It's interesting. It's a cool life. But if you're not into it, then why are you like?
Why are you walking? Why are you shopping at Kitson and eating at the Ivy?
Exactly. Like, if you don't want the paparazzi to follow you, then don't go to the Ivy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
don't go to Marquee. Yeah, watch a movie. Yeah.
Like, watch a movie. Yeah. Watch Apple TV or something.
Yeah, totally. I love Apple TV so much. Oh my God, I have it in like every room of our house.
I do too. I have every room in Austin. I have it in my trailer in Vancouver. We have it in Los Angeles. I'm betting my wife is watching it right now. We watch Duck Dynasty. I don't know if you watch it.
I have never watched Duck Dynasty. I don't even know what it is.
It's so redneck and old school and awesome.
Are they duck hunters?
They invented a duck call that. Oh. Have you seen it? No. Okay.
No, I've heard of it.
So the father invented a duck call that did really well, but was like a local sale. Like, he'd sell it to the local bait and feed shop and tackle, and he'd make enough money to survive. And the son, Willie, has just this great business mind and turned it into this like corporation. And now they sell them at Walmart and Target and Academy, and now they have like Duck Dynasty baking soda and whatever else, and so it's worth like $20 million or something.
Very Texan.
But they live in Louisiana, and they're so like redneck. Like, they've got beards down to here. Like, drive around their ATVs, and they're
oh my God,
like getting rid of bees nests and
with a stick.
Yeah, like breaking down beaver dams, and just like the life of a country boy who made too much money. It's kind of like Beverly Hillbillies, I guess, but they don't ever move to Beverly Hills.
Right.
They kind of stick around.
So like, we're gonna go out and we're gonna break a beaver dam.
Yeah.
What's your day like? Got a stick?
I got a stick. I got to break down a beaver dam. Those beavers are damming up my water, and I got to drive my mud through it.
Okay, do you have a self-inflicted wound story?
I've been thinking.
It's okay if you don't, and today's an unusual situation.
It is. I'm really sorry. You know what?
It's okay.
If I think of one, I'll do a
phoner.
Or something. Yeah, I will. I will phone in. Be like, Aisha, listen.
I thought about this. It's okay.
I wish I did. I'm sure I do.
Yeah, it started out as epic drinking stories. That was how it originally started out, like the worst thing that ever happened to you when you were drunk, or the most embarrassing thing. And then it kind of evolved because not everybody drinks, so it kind of broadened out to something bigger than.
I can do that story.
Okay,
I just told that one actually.
Yay!
I was in Mexico. It was during the strike, and we did an all-inclusive.
Yeah, because your season was shortened that year. You guys stopped down.
So we finished like in December, didn't go back till March. So we went to an all-inclusive for New Year's, and I don't know if you've been to all-inclusive or if any of you out there.
No, I have once. Yes.
Okay, so they do. So everything's free. So what they do to keep people excited is they'll do like, hey, we're doing a karaoke contest or a dance or a hot potato contest, and they'll do stuff out by the big pool. One day it was a tequila drinking contest.
Oh, yes.
And so, I remember winning, and then I kind of remember falling, and then I remember waking up in bed naked and going, why are my clothes off? And my brother, who is a doctor, was like, well, after you fell on the pool, I decided to carry you because he's bigger than I am. I'm 220 pounds, and he's 240. So he's the only guy that could get me across the pool in front of the rest of the all-inclusive guests to get me back upstairs. He's like, and I didn't want you sweeping in your swimsuit, so I put you in a towel and put you into the bed so you'd be dry. Which is not too bad. I mean, everybody's kind of had one too many, except we were at an all-inclusive, and it was like day 2 of a 6-day trip. And so for the rest of the trip, I was like the guy who passed out in the pool, like head first. And so finally I was like, whatever, like you haven't done it yourself, looking around at everybody. They give me looks. Luckily I'm a pretty big guy, and if somebody's kind of giving me a dirty look and I give them a dirty look back, they'll kind of avert their eyes.
Oh yeah, immediately they'll turn away, right?
So I hate that feeling though. I since then I haven't really done it, but the feeling of like, why am I here? Where are my shorts? what happened? You feel like you killed somebody or something.
Yeah,
like,
you feel like I could have committed murder and I wouldn't even know.
I werewolfed out or something and I don't know what happened.
And I'm naked in a bed in a strange room.
My head hurts. I'm like sunburned and stuff. So that's that. I'll still try to think of an epic.
No, that one, I think that for this moment that will satisfy the ticket. That was great.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for doing this. I'm super psyched.
Yeah, thank you. Anytime.
I'm going to come watch your panel.
Please do.
Yeah, I'm going to heckle.
Please do. Heckle Zach.
All right, music song.
He needs it.